Rabbi Shapiro spoke a little bit about Yaakov Avinu wanted to be Megal Esaketz. Yaakov gathered his children and he wanted to be Megala. Of course, the parsha starts with a stuma, that it's a closed parsha, and he wanted to be Megala the Kates, and Hashem was seismit from him, from Yaakov. Rabbi Shapiro spoke that we all tend, when we first learn this Chazal as youngsters, the first, and it doesn't mean it's not the truth, what we were taught and what we thought, because the simple word of the Kates is the Kates of Geula, is the time of Geula, and he wanted to tell us when the final Geula would be. Bikish Legalis Sakates, Pashtus would be the final Geula. It makes you like wonder, what's that about? He wanted to say the date of the final Geula, and Hashem takes it away from Yaakov Avinu. Of what importance is that? People predict dates, when it's going to happen, when is Mashiach coming. It's widely been predicted and guessed and thought about. And somehow, let's say they had a date, now what? It's what would that mean? What does that look like when you have the Kates? You know you're in the know, you have this great secret. Would you anticipate it less? What's this Bikish Legale Sakates? So the answer, I don't know what it means. I honestly don't know the answer. It's something I'm curious about. What is this story of? What did Yaakov precisely want? Why is that important? They know the Kates. They're in the know, Akiva, one of the people who know. And you tell your children the Kates. What is that about knowing the Kates? So, Rabbi Shapiro Rabbi Shapiro said this on Shabbos Kodesh. It's something that I believe something in this direction is the pshat of what Yaakov wanted to do. Why would he even want to tell them the Kates? All the things we go through in our life is bringing us somewhere. Hashem's working with us and bringing us somewhere. The mashal Yaakov I like giving, when I was a youngster, I don't know today, it's interesting, we all grow up, our perspective changes. If you remember when you were a little kid, when I watched sports in Heller, Yosef, and I was like an 11-year-old or a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old watching, the older guys looked so good. They all dunked and were crazy good ball players. You get older, they were amazing, but that was a 9th grader looking at older guys. That was a 9th grade perspective. When I was a youngster, I don't know if I would feel that way today. I'm not, Baruch Hashem, I am busier than to tune into her stuff. I liked an author, Agatha Christie. I was a young kid. My father would bring me to the library and let me take out Agatha Christie books. And I liked reading her. I thought she was brilliant. Baruch Hashem, I'm busier than that, and I'm not that tempted today. I wonder if I'd still find her so brilliant. I have no idea. I assume she's very smart. Certainly a youngster's imagination. Her books were cool. Now, her books had stories. A lot of things were going on in a lot of places, and it was like dizzying. She had a scene in this country, another scene, and in a certain way, Akiv, you were like in the dark. What is happening? Funny stuff were going on, and as the book would come to its conclusion, you'd understand everything. Everything would make sense. Everything would Akiva, a mashal I would give Akiva besides my Agatha Christie mashal. The Agatha Christie mashal is when the end of the story happened, you were like, and you went back to earlier things and things made sense. Because it gave a context. There could be a lot of people in one place. It didn't make sense why they were all there. What's happening? Then when you read later, it was everything fit in. Why people were where they were. It gave a sense of the story. Akiva, a mashal that an artist would appreciate is when people do art at the beginning, you're like, what in the world's the person? It almost looks random. As the picture's getting clearer, and the artist knew the picture the whole time, Yak. As the picture gets clear, what is he doing? It looks to the untrained, to the eye that doesn't get the end game, it looks so strange what you're doing. As the picture emerges, you understand what he was doing along the way in drawing the pictures. So in that way, that's what it means Yaakov wanted to say the Kates. The Kates is not just the end of the story, it's the ending that gives the clarity in the whole story. We seem to go through so much, like for what, towards what, why. I don't think the Kates just means the end, the date, Mashiach's coming. The Kates is the part of the story that brings the whole story together. That's what the Kates is. It makes sense of everything. So it's not just the date of the Geula, Bika Shagasa Kates. The Kates is the end story that makes the whole thing clear. That's what Hashem was doing. Now I understand why we went through this. All of us in our own lives, if we had context what Hashem's doing with us in all the different difficulties, it would be much easier. We would know what we're working on. Guys speak all the time. Today is leg day and chest day and back day. Guys have, what's today, Kibli? Rest day, right? That's a good day too. That's a good day too. I've been on that day for many months now. But the different things that people are working out, different days are for different muscles. In our own lives, Akiva, it's part of the hardship of Nisyanis is we don't know where this is bringing me. And that's Hashem designed that hardship that we don't know. If I knew where it's bringing me, it would be much easier. And Yaakov wanting to be Megala the Kates gives that clarity of where this is bringing me. L'maisa Hashem doesn't let. In some way and clearly this connects to Galus, where this is the start in these parashas Vayakam Melech Mitzrayim, and Klal Yisrael's going into Galus and into days of Hester Panim. If we knew what was being brought out of us, what's this towards? That's part of the Kates. And I guess, I can't like Rabbi Shapiro express Shabbos. I don't know what the Havamim of Yaakov and the Maskan of Hashem. I know Yaakov Avinu wanting to tell us the Kates means that we're supposed to know that there's a Kates. And having Emunah Hagam, we don't know what the Kates is. And we don't have that clarity of in our own lives and in our life as a nation, we don't have the exact. Anybody who's watching our people right now, Hashem's doing something. Stuff's happening with our nation. I think in the case we'd understand towards what? Something's going on. I've said this in Musarvad before. I spent last week's Friday, I was walking with my wife, two of my children in the streets of California, and I walked at a distance watching them. I was nervous. It was different than any point in my life. I was walking with my wife, and I'm watching my family, making sure, in some sort of protective stance, just keeping an eye, keeping everybody in. That something's happening to our nation right now, here and now. Hashem's working with us, calling us that we're Yidden. And again, I don't know towards what. We don't have the Kates, the context, but we know that there is a Kates. And that point, it's interesting. Yaakov Avinu wasn't successful in being Megala the Kates, but he was successful in encouraging us that there is a Kates. Even that whole Maimid with Yaakov, it wasn't just a failed attempt. Shucks, we didn't get the Kates. Does it help knowing that there is a Kates, that there is Hashem's bringing us places? Now, knowing that helps us a lot. The Torah records that Yaakov was Bikish Legales. Now, I assume the Kates would give, if we had a clarity to exactly what was happening, I think that would be easier. I think we would sense and see it. What's this towards? Certainly would give us certain strength. Hashem didn't want that clarity of us knowing what it's towards. So it's nistam from us, the Kates, so we don't know the Kates. But understanding there's a Kates. I think so many stories of our own personal lives that Hashem is working with me. Hashem is working. I see Yosef Atzadik, Yaakov Avinu wanting to tell the brothers the Kates. And we already discussed with Yosef Atzadik of Yosef Atzadik saying to the brothers, Lemichia Shlachani, Hashem sent me here for a purpose. In the last two dramatic parshiyos, the Torah, that prat keeps coming up. That Yosef Atzadik, who's the first melech in Galus, says that there were reasons I went through what I went through. Hashem was working with me and building me towards something. Hashem's working. My wife and I were talking. How come? Sorry, yes.
Yaakov Avinu was the only one that wanted to be in a guy in the kids' house. Like no one else knew.
To me, it makes sense. That's a good question, Yair. But to me, because Yaakov is the one who's ushering us, who's like accompanying us into Galus, it actually makes sense he'd the one who want to tell us the case. This is mamish the start. Yaakov Avinu for 17 years starts our journey off in Galus. I always love when alumni come to yeshiva and I feel like they're accompanying us on our journeys, sometimes at the start of the journey, sometimes at graduation, at a later stage in the journey, but I love that accompanying. Yaakov Avinu was the one who was holding our hands at the start of our long Galus, and the fact that he wanted to tell us the Kates, to me, is amazingly meaningful. I was talking to my wife, we were talking about things in our journey that we've gone through. We were describing Yosef that we wish we can go through it again because we've been trained by what we went through. And you almost wonder, you want to do it again with what you were trained. But we discussed that Hashem is bringing us places. Hashem's bringing the human being with all his experiences, is getting us to certain places. We'll all have a certain joy for eternity because of the attitudes that are created in us, the lessons we've learned as we become, as we're growing and steiging and understanding. It's forming us, the experience of our life. I think seeing it as such. My son was going through a treatment and had medicine that was hurting him a lot. The medicine was causing a lot of tzaras, and a very intelligent person came to visit my son. We were together in the hospital, and he's going through these treatments, and this is years ago, years and years, Baruch Hashem, my kids are healthy, but years ago, and a very intelligent Talmud Chacham said to my son, he was talking about the medicine hurting him. My son was expressing the pain of the medicine. And he said, if you can view it, if you could somehow view that it's working, it's doing something. If you take some blah medicine, it's not doing anything. The Gemara says that any sam is toiv l'zeh and ra l'zeh. It's good for some things and bad. That's how medicines work. To the point the Brisker Rav once ripped a certain medicine because there were no side effects. And he said if it has no side effects, it's not doing anything. And this Chacham told my son to almost in the pain feel I'm being worked on. It's doing something. And I say that to the difficulties of our own life. Again, it's hard. But if we could understand it, I would wish we had the case. Like that sense. If I knew it was leg day, I could put up with the difficulty of working on my legs. I don't know exactly what it's doing. We don't have access. We're not privy exact. But having that emunah, Hashem's working with me. Hashem is working with me. I think that would help us. I had a funny story. Years ago, Daniel, I had a funny story. Somebody was telling me about this rich kid from Florida that he had a personal trainer. He was describing to me, he was like a world-class athlete, the kid, and the parents had like big plans for this kid to make it, whatever making it meant, and they hired him a personal trainer, and he'd work him out. And the guy was telling me about this. It didn't really mean that much to me. It's like, oh, okay, cool, nice. Somebody was like telling me about this personal trainer. The next day, I got in my car and the car didn't turn on. And it was interesting. In my mind, I was thinking about the guy's personal trainer. And I was thinking, Hashem, you're my personal trainer. That Hashem's working with us. He's working us out, figuring out, sending us things as we need, what we need, and working on us. And if we could understand that, I think if we could understand that in our personal lives, both on things that occurred already, it's not just things that we're going through and will go through. Hashem's working with me. And my responses, all the responses being present to the situations, but Hashem's working with me and working on me and bringing me somewhere. I think that would be a tremendous siyua, a tremendous help in our own things. Difficult, and we don't again. Like, do we know the Kate's always like we are the exact like that's what was happening. It's hard to know, but that Hashem's working on me. I have seen people who took challenges they went through and used it for the betterment of others. I don't, and a Yid is supposed to do that. We're supposed to be good to Gerim because we were Gerim. So we know what it feels like to be the outsider. That's the story of our existence. It's interesting. I don't know about you. Many of us are grappling that the Goyim are all speaking about us, and they're asking so many questions on us. Are we being too aggressive? I think the world's gone insane. I don't think there's a country in the world that would go through what we just went through on Simchas Torah. I think there's an insanity. What we went on Simchas Torah, I don't think there's one country in the world that there would be any discussion, just finish off the enemy. I think it's wild. I think it's insane. I think if any ummah in the world would go through what we went through on Simchas Torah, to have any discussion now, but then they'll say, but you caused the problem, you weren't nice, years ago. It doesn't seem that there's like a tremendous sheker going on. It's all from Hashem. I'm not saying it to get angry, I'm saying it so we have figuring out how to do. It's a little bit dizzying, we have to ask it. Teretz Xeris HaKosim. Teretz is Hashem wants us. He's probably just calling us all that we're Yidden and like just remember that. But yeah, it's a difficult task. It's a difficult task. All difficulties that the human being encounters, that we encounter in our life, all the difficulties. They're there. They're real. We can ask ourselves questions. What's happening? Why is it happening? But like that understanding, Hashem's working with me, bringing us places, and has good plans with each and every one of us, and is bringing our soul places, like really living with that in a real sense, to me is a tremendous help in our own lives. Hashem's working with me. David HaMelech, the words we studied in Hallel, David HaMelech said to himself, Shuvi nafshi umnuchaychi. Calm down, soul. Now clearly he's been rattled. He's going through stuff, and he says, Shuvi nafshi, calm down. Ki Hashem gamal loichi. Hashem's dealing with kindness with me. He's bringing me places. The last conversation I ever had with my aunt, she was 48 years old. She was passing away, and her son was staying in my house. Her son, my wife and I was there. She has a son who's today a very, very big Talmud Chacham. And he was staying by my wife and I in Eretz Yisrael, and she called me a short while before she passed away. And she was in a lot of pain, and her young kids, a lot to worry about. And she said, Hashem's just dealing with kindness with me. She expressed that Hashem's dealing with kindness, and she felt the kindness of Hashem. To the point my father asked his sister. Visited with his sister, and he said he was learning in yeshiva, and he started crying, and he ran over to his sister's house, and he said, I don't understand, deep down, you got to be afraid. You have young kids, aren't you? For you, you're going to Olam Haba, aren't you afraid? And she said, the same Hashem who did all the kindnesses of my life, Hashem has got it. I'm not afraid at all. I'm in good hands. She felt this sense, Hashem's working with me, Hashem cares, and I'm in good hands. Ki Hashem gamal aloichi. And Hashem's working with us. He's working with us. These are big madregas, but I feel in these parshas HaTorah we're called to these madregas. Reading about Yosef HaTzadik, who's describing the difficulties of his life, that Hashem brought me places, is bringing me places, working with me, to Yaakov Avinu Bikesh Legale Saketz, who Yaakov wanted to actually fill in more details about what Hashem's doing, and Hashem didn't let that, but then Hashem's working with me. He has a plan. I was talking before I lost my train of thought, that many people take difficulties they went through and use it for the betterment of others. And we're asked as people who were Gerim in our life, as outsiders, to be good to the Ger because we know what it means. We know what it feels like to be a Ger. I want to say that it's not to always say that's why I went through what I went through. I went through it to help, because we don't always know the reason. It's hard to say that's why, but it actually helps to give a sense that I could feel and experience there was a purpose. Somebody was a Yassam from young Rav Matisyahu Salomon was a Yassam and knew what it meant to feel like a Yassam. And his whole life he's been very good to Yasaimim. Rav Matisyahu Salomon was one of the busiest people in the world. And always, we benefited. There were guys in Yeshiva, Yasaimim, you wanted to go to his house. You could always go to his house and hang with him and spend Shabbos with him. So now, I don't know if that's why Hashem made him a Yasam. I have no idea. But I know that for sure gave a sense there was a purpose. Hashem's working with me. And if you could experience some of the gains, so then you're in touch with that sense. I see what it's done for me. I see I'm more empathetic, I'm more caring, I'm more understanding. Again, why Hashem did it? Hashem's thoughts are higher than ours. I'll be honest, Yair, that I'm talking about it. You know, Rav Ezi quoted from the Dum Magid. I'm like listening, I'm talking to me the most today, and I say that it's easy to talk. It's easy to say. Obviously, when a person's in matzavim, it's so difficult to go through difficulty. My wife and I punked in these parashas. We had a long conversation, and we're talking about, we were chazering over. We had a chance, we were in LA, and we were chazering over experiences of our life. Difficult ones. And we were talking how we were brought, where we were brought, what it brought us to. So these are. I'm not saying this like a light thing. It's not. Sometimes you could say at a table, easy stuff. Yeah, everybody. It's heavy. I'm thinking about heavy things, Rabbi Yitz. Heavy things that are difficult, that are schwer, that are very. And sometimes we wish we had the kates. Like, I don't want to like the emunah that. But that was Yaakov Avinu had a havamina that we should have the kates. We should know like I don't get it, but knowing that Hashem's working. Hashem gamal aloichi. Hashem's working with me. I see so much in my life, Hashkachas Hashem, the other stuff that I don't understand, I know He's working with me. I know it. I see too much, Hashkacha, too much. It's interesting, this Shabbos, we were zeicha to see, a lot of alumni come back. And when I watch the history of this yeshiva, and especially a lot of alumni are here, I have seen miracles. This place is not normal. Hashkachas Hashem. Who came? When they came? My father was. I was zeicha. My parents were here for the first time. They were here for a Shabbos Kodesh in the yeshiva. And my father loves Avi and was chazer when Avi came as a youngster. Every part. We don't typically take ninth graders. My father wanted Avi to come. Thank God. Avi came and Avi grew here and his influence now. Avi ran that camp this last summer. It was crazy. He gave guys a good summer, a positive, healthy, beautiful summer to guys who probably wouldn't have had such a, and you watch us hashkacha things, you watch the hashkachas Hashem, who comes, when they come, how they come. I spoke about Thursday night, Shlomo, how many things happened in yeshiva. Thursday night, we had 30 guys go to New Jersey, and Hashem sent a Shlomo Guri to yeshiva. Shlomo's influencing tens of thousands of people. It's nothing to do with the quality of his gorgeous voice. I didn't say nothing. I should say that it's like one tiny piece, the beautiful voice, the sincerity, the coolness, the humility, the beauty, just wonderful person. And tens of thousands are gaining emunah and chizuk and happiness and encouragement. So we had 30 guys in New Jersey, and Hashem sent Aaron Smilowitz, all the right people and the right pieces. We were in New Jersey. At the same time, we were there, the hockey team was playing, and that means dorm councils are taking them, and things had to happen for that to happen. Somebody sponsored the team. That's a whole story for itself. At the same time, Mendy Hecht is running spike ball in the gym. At the same time, Shmuel Weiss is bringing people to the hospital to to visit Avi Friedman. At the same time, Raikaf is making a barbecue, and all the different people, all the different ways that things come together. So many givers, so many cares, so much hashgacha to build, and you see the kindness of Hashem. You see, this yeshiva makes me make the bracha, Meichin Mitzadei Gavru, prepares the footsteps of man. It adds kavana to that bracha. But you see Hashem's kindness. So when things come, we had a summer when the yeshiva was shut down and thrown out of Waterbury. I told my wife that summer, what does Hashem want? She said, Daniel, like she helped calm me down. Hashem's working with us. Then we came to this beautiful campus. We were chucked out of Waterbury. I promise you, I was very shaken. We're human beings, and in real time, when we go through hardships, we don't always see the Kates. I lived at Akiva that summer. I can't describe to you the pressure. I promise I was worried for my I was worried for my health, Akiva. The pressure, I did not tell a lot of the Rebbeim had no clue what was going on. I felt it wasn't good for their health. I didn't want to create a negative vibe. The Bachrim mostly, say 99% were clueless. The yeshiva was shut down. We had a summer, there was no Waterbury. Guys were texting dorm rooms. I want B5, C3. The dorms were B, C. It was floors and whatever. Guys were texting me all summer. I didn't want to say. And Rabbi Oberlander, who the tzaddik ran the yeshiva for years, he felt he had to move on for his own health reasons. Rabbi Oberlander left, and the yeshiva was kicked out of Waterbury. And it was a tremendous, tremendous pressure. Remarkable pressure, and there was 3 weeks left to this man. There was no yeshiva, and my wife and I had called everybody, figuring it. We had met. We went to Stanford. The yeshiva of Stanford was moved. We were looking at a building there, but what would even help? I didn't even understand. Rebbeim live in Waterbury. How do you run all the Rebbeim travel? Nothing made sense. You have no Rebbeim living there. A trip by day would be about 2 hours with traffic. You'd come before nothing made sense. It's an hour 10 regular, rush hour. It was like complicated what it would even look like. And my emunah was like, Hashem, what's happening here? Yitz Rabinowitz finds this campus, B'derech Nes. Remember opening day, parents driving their children to the yeshiva. Parents are looking at me with like admiration up top. Like we had gone from a yeshiva in the inner city, complicated place. We're on this like gorgeous campus, like, you know what you're doing. I came here kicking and screaming, what Hashem, what do you want from me? We get on a campus, it's like gorgeous, and parents, there was like an admiration. You have a lockdown, like you're leading this quite well. You're like, I'm smiling, a big ki'ilu here. Hashem's working with us. Now, I admit in real time it's difficult. Because as you're going through the difficulty, we don't know the case. I didn't know we'd be on a beautiful campus and everything was changing. We were literally dragged here by Hashem, Bal Karchenu. And He's working. But I get to experience this prat that Hashem's working with us. And I say to us all, both about things we've faced in our lives till now, about difficulties we face, that Hashem is working. Hashem Gamal Aloichi. If we can absorb that Hashem is working with me, He's working, it's not just a passive, I don't think it's just a passive act. And it sounds easy. I'm talking to me today. I'm letting people listen in. It sounds like a very passive, and there could be a lot of pretend of such. Hashem's working with me. I'm talking about being present. I'm talking about experiencing it. You can't say Hashem's working with me and you're not processing what you're going through, because then you're ducking it. Be in the moment. Be there and understand and feel what you feel. And Hashem's working. He's working with us and bringing us places as we're experiencing. Be there for the ride, be present to the ride, and understand He's bringing us places. I have this wonder, and I don't want to say I'm taking a poetic license. I'm trying to learn Torah. I almost wonder, Yair, and I'm saying this as Ray Shapiro alluded Shabbos, but I'm going to speak it out more lahed, Yaron. I almost wonder if we know the case, if it wouldn't work as well on us. That part of how Hashem didn't tell us the case. So part of the uncertainty, I almost wonder, the emunah I learned from that story and other aspects, humility that story brought out, not to take for granted the yeshiva. Ara Yom Hazeh, we're many years later, a lot of years later, I appreciate the yeshiva a lot because of that. Now, if I knew what Hashem was doing, I don't think it would have been working on me as much. I almost wonder that part of how Hashem works on us is you don't know the case. Now, I'm not going to pretend what was Yaakov's Havamina, what was the Maskana, but Zevi, probably part of what Hashem works on us is that we don't know where it's going, and all that is part of, clearly Hashem didn't want us to know the case. But then being present, experiencing what we're experiencing, but with a deep-seated faith that we could bring ourselves to, and David HaMelech brought himself there. Shuvi nafshu nuchaychi means that there was unrest. You don't say calm down unless you're not so calm. So David HaMelech experienced something and then said to himself, Shuvi nafshu nuchaychi. Nefesh, let's keep it calm. Hashem gamaloichi. Hashem's bestowing kindness on me. Hashem's bringing me somewhere. I'm going somewhere. I'm getting somewhere. It's doing something for me. What this Chacham said to my son, that the side effects mean the medicine is working. Something's happening. It's working on us. It's bringing us somewhere. We're going somewhere. We're headed somewhere. Yaakov Avinu then gathers his children. I want to move on a little bit, though it's hard to move on from this. This bikesh legaloi sesaketz. Hashem is working with us. He's working with us. There's Emunah, as Yosef Emunah could have a lot of pretend aspects. People say, Bez Hashem, oh, Hashem's word. I'm talking about that a person is experiencing the difficulty and is in it to be and feeling it. And I'm talking that a person's tifarain. But this sugya, biggest legalis sakets, and Hashem takes it away from him. Hashem says, no. I don't want them to know the case. There's a faith. There's going to be another aspect to the challenges of life, and we're not going to understand the context and the. Yaakov then gathers his family at this scene, and he's worried. And this is interesting. He's worried that the reason he forgot the kates is maybe there's somebody who's not living right. He's worried that maybe there's a doifi. Maybe one of the children is not living right, and that's why Hashem made him sassam the kates. Things happen for reasons. He felt, Yaakov Avinu, that we should know the kates. And if Hashem's not allowing him to say the kates, maybe there's a reason for it, that Hashem made him forget the kates. And he's worried that there's a doifi in his children. And his children proclaim together, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Lekeinu, Hashem Echad. All his children proclaim the oneness of Hashem. Shema Yisrael. Yisrael is Yaakov Avinu. Shema Yisrael. Hear Tata. That's a big kasha how they said his name. Does anybody have a teretz to that? Shema Yisrael. You're not allowed to say your father's name. They called him Yisrael. Shema. Ooh, I like that. Isn't that funny that Yaakov said this pshat? I love that. I love it. It couldn't have been another guy, Doobie, but Yanker. Yanker says his name is Yaakov. It's not Yisrael. Yisrael's like a. They would never say Yaakov. They said Shema. It doesn't say Shema Yaakov. Shema Yisrael. Yisrael's like almost a concept. Lemaisa, it sounds like it was called Hashem and the Malach called him Yisrael. So Pella, they said Shema Yisrael. Here Yisrael. Hashem Lekeinu, Hashem Echad. How do they say Shema Yisrael? His name's Yisrael. Now let us say your tata's name. You let us say your father's name, Shema Yisrael. How do they say Shema Yisrael? So Shloimeh says, a good shaila, what's the halacha if you're not talking to your tata and another guy has the same name as your father? You're allowed to say, I have a brother-in-law who has the same name as my tata. Am I allowed to call my brother-in-law his name in front of my tata? Says Shloimeh, Yisrael is our collective name. Shema Yisrael. It's all of our names. I'm not talking to him. Could you call somebody else's the same name? Chaim, what do you hold the halach is? So the rule is like this, machlokes, like many things, machlokes. The rule is it matters if it's a shem pillai or not a shem pillai. Pillai means unusual. An unusual name, if your father's name is like Finnegas or something, and you have another person Finnegas, you can't say Finnegas because it's very uncommon. A normal name, you're allowed to call somebody else because it's normal that many such names. So, huh?
English name also?
Yeah. I have this shaila in front of my father. I don't say my father's called an English name. My brother-in-law's called the same English name. And in front of my tata, I call my brother-in-law Shloima. Nobody calls him that, but it's a name of his. It's a name is in front of my father. I call him Shloima. I'm not going to say his English name. And it might be a shtick. Is it a shame? Pillai yesh ladan. It's not so unusual. Yeah, Pillai, I don't know how, Pillai means Pella, wonders. I don't know, it has to be Finnegas. Even you have a name, Gerald, is that a shame? Gerald will probably, it's not Gerald, but Gerald might be a shame. I don't know. How far is it? But
Also for a girl, a mom and a wife?
yes, same thing. Lemaisa, so Shloima says,
Where did they say Shema Yisrael?
they said that when Yaakov Avinu wanted to be Megala the Kates, it says, the Gemara tells us, Chazal say that the brothers said Shema Yisrael. Yeah, it's not in Parashas Vayechi. Chazal tell us, it's the Gemara Psachim that the Shvatim said Shema Yisrael Hashem Lakeinu Hashem Echad. They said to Hashem, they said to Yaakov, Shema Yisrael Hashem Echad. If somebody has the name.
Someone would say Avi, he would turn around.
There's stories about Moshe like that. Somebody said Moshe in front of Moshe. He said, what? If it's a shame Pillai, it probably is the same name. If it's an unusual name, you probably shouldn't do it. If it's a common name, so you're allowed to. It's common. Yeah, there are poskim who say even by a not shame Pillai that it's only Shaloi B'fanim, not B'fanim. L'maisa, a normal name you could be makel. The Ketzer is Chaim, so the Shvatim say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. It's a big shaila how they say Yisrael. Shlomo said they didn't mean Yaakov Avinu only. They mean Yisrael. I love that Yaakov Ellen said this pshat that his real name was Yankov. They never would say Shema Yaakov. Yisrael was switched. Now you have to clever. Wasn't it switched? Wasn't that his name? Maybe it's a shtickle concept. So Yaakov they wouldn't say. They said Shema Yisrael. Nice answer, Yankov. So they said Shema Yisrael. What did Yaakov Avinu respond? What did Yaakov Avinu respond when the Shvatim said Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad? What did Yaakov respond? What did he respond, Chevra? Who just said that? Said Rabbi Ezra, Yaakov Avinu responded Baruch Shem Kivod Malchusay Leilam Ved. Baruch, blessed. Shem is the name, Kvoid Malchusay, the honor of his king Lo'elam Ved. His name should continue to be Misparach. That should continue to be Kiddush Shemayim. Yaakov Shmuley was ecstatic. He saw that all his kids, the nachas of a parent seeing his kids go b'derech Hashem. The deepest dream, Chaim, of every parent is that their kid is being what they're supposed to be. It's the dream. It's profound happiness. And in one of the most joyous words in the Torah Shmuley, Yaakov Avinu, after seeing, he worried, are all my kids on the derech? Because remember, he forgot the kates. And he thought maybe he wasn't Zayche because they weren't on the Madrega. They all said, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Akiva and Yaakov saw that all his kids were going b'derech HaTorah. And in an ecstatic moment, he said, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchusay Leilam Ved. Forever and ever, the Kivod Malchusay should be Nisrabah. People should continue to serve Hashem. He was so happy, he blessed that you keep going. Keep going, God. Let your name, Kivod Malchusay, should continue to be Nisrabah. Baruch Shem. Hashem's Shem means people serving Hashem. Kvoid Malchusay, the honor of His King L'Olam Ved, should expand forever. People should keep serving Hashem. He was moved. It's interesting. We were Zoich in Yeshiva many, many years ago at the onset of Yeshiva. The great Chaim Berlin Rosh Yeshiva, Waterbury, some of the first donors, right? Kaufman Shlita, who conceptualized the idea, and some of the first Younger Light in Yeshiva had come by way of the Yeshiva Chaim Berlin. And Rav Aaron Schechter, the Chaim Berlin Rosh Yeshiva, came to Yeshiva. For an hour and a half, he spoke on the pasuk Baruch Shem. He saw Waterbury for the first time and lost his mind. It was a bustling, building yeshiva that was full of chiyus. And he said Baruch Shem K'vay Machsalim. For an hour and a half, he spoke about these words that I want to speak about for a few minutes, Chaim. And Baruch Shem K'vay Machsalim Va'ed is the great excitement of seeing expansion of Yiddishkeit, seeing people serve Hashem. I watched our guys last night. I brought our guys, a whole bunch of public school kids had gotten together, were brought together in Connecticut, and I brought our guys, and I was watching our guys, the sincerity of our chevra, and watching them impact, and seeing that the songs they have sung have reached far places, and watching our guys just carrying themselves with dignity and B'nai Torah. And I just looked around, and you think to yourself, wow, this is beautiful. Kiddush Shemayim. And Baruch Shem K'vod Machzolam, that Hashem's name should continue, K'vod Shemayim should continue on. And Rav Aaron Schechter, the great Chaim Berlin Rosh Yeshiva Zatzal, came to Waterbury, and he said Baruch Shem and proceeded to speak about it for about an hour and a half. The question, Chaim Shavkin, is why, pray tell, do we whisper Baruch Shem? Every time we say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, we say Baruch Shem K'vod. Why don't we whisper it? Say it loud. Say it proud. Baruch Shem K'vod Malchus Olam Ved. Why do you whisper Baruch Shem? What's the whisper about? The Gemara, you ever wondered that, Chaim? You whisper. Shema, you say like Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu, then you whisper. What's the great secret? Blessed is Hashem. I always clear, Chaim, am I saying Baruch Shem because I hear your Shema, or could I hear my Shema? It's interesting, if I'm alone in a room and I say Shema, I say Baruch Shem, I'm almost impressed with my own Shema. Yaakov Avinu said Baruch Shem. You say Shema Yisrael, and you say, wow, this feels good. Baruch Shem, it should continue, it should keep going. Why do we whisper it, Yaakov? So the Gemara says a very cryptic mashal. The Gemara says this cryptic mashal. What's the best cholent? You know, we have tons of cholents. Obviously, Aaron Smiles makes a cholent to dreamers. This cholent. Any good cholent maven knows what's the best part of the cholent? The stuff stuck at the bottom of the pot. It's done well and the shma cooked. The stuff at the bottom is juicy and well cooked. And says the Gemara, the prince wants the stuff at the bottom. It's a bizayon to eat it in front of people. It's not, you have to act with dignity and class. You're laid in the bowl of soup and you pick up the bowl. It's not bakavadik. The person has to act with dignity. He has to be a dignified person. It's a little left in a bottle of soda. You don't turn it off. It has to be dignity. A dignified human being. And the stuff left at the end of the pot, you can't scrape out in front of people. It's a bizayon. The Gemara says there's some bizayon to say Baruch Shem K'vay Machsalim out loud. Very cryptic, unexplained akiva. Bizayon to who? To what? We whisper it. There's some bizayon. There's something. It's why the whispered Baruch Shem. It's a secret. Dubi, what is the bizayon? You ever wondered about this? The whispered? Interesting, right? We whisper. What's the great secret? My understanding of the Nefesh HaChaim, Reb Chaim Volozhin. Shmuel, you ever wondered about the whispered Baruch Shem? One pshat brought, and it's very cryptic, is Shema we say out loud because it's a pasuk. Baruch Shem K'vay Machsalim is not a pasuk. It's what Yaakov Avinu said back, but it's not open. Moshe Rabbeinu later says Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu. There's no pasuk Baruch Shem there, so we whisper it. Reb Chaim Volozhin explains as follows: Shema Yisrael speaks about Hashem, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem, that we say loudly. That a human being serving Hashem matters is the great secret of our world. It's like a chutzpah. Does Hashem need us? Hashem needs and the answer is, He needs us because He says so. That's a secret. That a human being matters is almost arrogant. You're not allowed to say it out loud. I'm afraid. Kvod Malchusai means it's important that we bring honor to the king. Does that even matter? And the answer is 1,000%. You're not allowed to say it loud. It's funny. There's a big Talmud Chacham who publicly spoke, and it's very miyusad on Hasidish attorneys, a Hasidish Yid, and he spoke, Hashem wants us, and even used the word needs. And he got belted. Some Rav got up and tried and beat him up for like saying it. That's a complicated topic. I felt like he didn't whisper the Baruch Shem maybe. He said it too loudly. We whisper. We whisper it. There's like you can't say it so loud, and it matters. And it matters because God said it matters. It matters that we serve Him a lot. So we say out loud, Shema Yisrael Hashem, and then we're moved to quietly whisper. How beautiful. It's so important and beautiful. Now it matters because God said so, but it'll be an arrogance to say it too loud. Shema Yisrael is the objective value. Hashem the Rebbeinu Shalom, the Master, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And then the value of the human being serving Hashem, how beautiful the human being saying Shema Yisrael. To that we whisper. Don't say it out loud. We whisper Baruch Shem, the beauty, and we daven for continued service of Hashem. Baruch Shem, Kvod Machzor, a little bit.